Lilac, uh,
Mrs. Andrews will be here in a moment, sir. Excuse me, sir.
yes,
Excuse
what
me,
is it?
sir. If I might speak to you for a moment, sir.
Well,
I am rather worried, sir, about my own position in the house, and I felt I would like to consult you on the matter.
what's the trouble?
Mrs. Andrews' death puts me out of a job.
Yes, I suppose it does. But I imagine you'll easily get another, won't you?
I hope so, sir.
You're a qualified man, aren't you?
Oh, yes, sir. I'm very qualified, and there is always either hospital work or private work to be obtained. I know that.
Then what's troubling you?
The circumstances in which this job came to an end are very distasteful to me, sir.
In plain English, you like having been mixed up with murder, is that it?
It could be put that way, sir.
Well, I'm afraid there's nothing anyone can do about that. Presumably, you'll get a satisfactory reference from Mrs. Andress.
I don't think there would be any difficulty about that, sir. Miss Andrews is a very nice lady, a very charming lady, if I may say so.
What do you mean?
Well, I shouldn't like to inconvenience Mrs. Andrews in any way.
You mean you're stopping on a bit to oblige her?
That is quite true, sir. I am helping out in the house. But that is not exactly what I meant. It's a matter, really, of my conscience, sir.
What the hell do you mean, your conscience?
I don't think you appreciate my difficulties, sir, in the matter of giving my evidence to the police. It is my duty as a citizen to assist the police in any manner possible. At the same time, I want to remain loyal to my employers.
You speak as though there was a conflict.
If you think about it, sir, you will soon realize there is bound to be a conflict of loyalties, if I may so put it.
Just exactly what are you getting at, Morty?
The police, sir, are not in a position to appreciate the background. The background might, I say might, be rather important in a case like this. Also, I have of late been suffering rather severely from insomnia.
Do your ailments to come into this?
Unfortunately, they do, sir. I retired early last night, but was unable to get to sleep.
I'm sorry about that, but really.
You see, owing to the position of my bedroom in the house, I have become aware of certain matters of which perhaps the police are not fully cognizant.
Just what are you trying to say?
The late Mr. Andrews, sir, was a sick man and disabled. It's really only to be expected under those sad circumstances that an attractive lady like Mrs. Andrews might, how shall I put it, form an attachment elsewhere.
So that's it. I don't think I like your tone, Morty.
No, sir, but please don't be too precipitate in your judgment. Just think it over, sir. You will perhaps realize my difficulty. Here I am in possession of knowledge I have not so far communicated to the police, but which perhaps it is my duty to communicate.
I think this story of going to the police with your information is all ballyhoo. What you're really doing is suggesting that you're in a position to stir up dirt unless what?
Of course I am, as you have just pointed out, a fully qualified nurse attendant, but there are times, Major Farrar, when I feel like I would like to set up on my own a small, not exactly nursing home, but an establishment where I could take on perhaps 5 or 6 patients, with an assistant, of course. Gentlemen, perhaps, who are alcoholically difficult to manage at home, that sort of thing. Unfortunately, although I have accumulated certain savings, I could really use some help. They are not enough. I wondered...
You wondered if I and Mrs. Andress together could come to your assistance financially in this project.
I just wondered, sir. It would be a great kindness on your part.
Yes, it would, wouldn't it?
You suggested rather harshly that I'm threatening to stir up dirt, meaning, I take it, scandal. But it's not that at all, sir. I wouldn't dream of doing such a thing.
What exactly is it you're driving at, Morty? You're driving at something.
As I say, sir, last night I couldn't sleep very well. I was lying awake watching the snow. Then it seemed to me I heard a shutter banging. A very irritating sound when you're trying to get to sleep. I got up and leaned out of my window. It seemed to be the shutter of the pantry window almost immediately below me.
Well,
I decided, sir, to go down and attend to the shutter. As I was on my way downstairs, I heard a shot. I didn't think anything of it at the time. Mr. Andrus is at it again, I thought. But surely he can't see shooting at snow like this. I went to the pantry, sir, and fastened back the shutter securely. But as I was standing there, a bit uneasy for some reason, I heard footsteps coming along the path outside the window.
you mean the path?
Yes, sir, the path that leads from the terrace outside this window round the corner of the house that way, past the domestic offices, a path that's not used very much, sir, except, of course, by you, sir, when you come over here, seeing as it's a short cut from your house to here, to this one.
Go on.
I was feeling, as I said, a bit uneasy, thinking there might be a prowler about. I can't tell you how relieved I was, sir, to see you pass the pantry window, walking quickly, hurrying on your way back home.
I can't really see any point in what you're telling me. Is there supposed to be one?
I just wonder, sir, whether you have mentioned to the police that you came over here last night to see Mrs. Andrews. In that case, you have not done so, supposing that they should question me further as to the events of last night.
You do realize, don't you, that the penalty for blackmail is severe?
Blackmail, sir? I still don't know what you mean. It's just a question of where my duty lies. The police, you know.
The police are perfectly satisfied as to who killed Mr. Andrews. He practically signed his name to the crime. They're not likely to come asking you any more questions.
I assure you, sir, I only meant that, you know.
You know perfectly well that you couldn't have recognized anybody in that snow last night. You simply invented the story, too.
Oh, I'm sorry I've kept you waiting, Rocco.
Perhaps I may talk to you again later, sir, about this little matter.
Rocco,
Why did you send for me, Lilac?
I've been expecting you all day.
I've been up to my ears ever since this morning. Committee's meeting this afternoon. I can't cut any of these things just before the election. And in any case, don't you see, Lilac, that it's much better we shouldn't meet?
There are things we've got to discuss.
Do you know that Morty is setting out to blackmail me?
Morty is?
Yes, he obviously knows about us, and he knows or pretends to know that I was here last night.
You mean he saw you?
He says he saw me.
He couldn't have seen you in that snow.
He's got some story of coming down to the pantry and doing something to the shutter outside the window, and that he saw me pass on my way home. He says he heard a shot a short time before, but didn't think anything of it.
Oh, God, how awful. What are we going to do?
I don't know. We'll have to think.
You're not going to pay him?
No. When one starts that, it's the beginning of the end. And yet, what is one to do? I didn't think anyone knew I came over here yesterday evening. I'm certain my housekeeper did it. The point is, did Morty really see me, or is he pretending?
Supposing he does go to the police.
I know. One's got to think carefully. Either bluff it out, say he's lying, that I never left home yesterday evening.
But there are the fingerprints.
What fingerprints?
You've forgotten the fingerprints on the table. The police have been thinking that they're McGregor's. But if Morty goes to them with this story, they'll ask to take your fingerprints and then...
Yeah, I see. All right, then. I'll have to admit that I came over here, and tell some story. I came over to see Richard about something, and we talked.
You can say he was perfectly all right when you left him.
How easy you make it sound. Can I say that?
One has to say something.
Yes, I put him there as I bent over to see.
So as long as they believe the prints are McGregor's.
McGregor. What on earth made you think of cooking up that paper and putting it on Richard's body? Weren't you taking a terrific chance?
Yes. No. I don't know.
So damn cold-blooded.
We had to think of something. I couldn't think. It was Michael's idea.
Michael?
Michael Starkweather.
You mean he helped you?
Yes. That's why I wanted to see you, to explain to you.
What's Michael Starkweather doing in all this?
He came in and found me here. I'd got the gun in my hand and...
Good God. And somehow you persuaded him.
I think he persuaded me. Oh, Rocco.
I've told you, I'll do anything I can. Don't think I won't, but...
You've changed.
I can't feel the same after what's happened. I can't feel the same.
I can. At least I think I can. No matter what you'd done, I'd always feel the same.
Never mind our feelings. We've got to get down to facts.
I know. I told Starkweather that I'd done it. You know.
You told Starkweather that?
Yes.
And he agreed to help you. He, a stranger, the man must be mad.
I think perhaps he is a little mad, but he was very comforting.
So, no man can resist you. Is that it? All the same, Lilac. Murder.
I shall try to never think of it. And it wasn't premeditated, Rocco. It was just an impulse.
No need to go back over it all. We've got to think now what we've got to do.
I know. There are the fingerprints and your lighter.
I must have dropped it as I leaned over the body.
Starkweather knows it's yours, but he can't do anything about it. He's committed himself. He can't change his story now.
If it comes to it, Locke, I'll take the blame.
I don't want you to. I don't want you to.
You mustn't think that I don't understand how it happened. You picked up the gun, shot him without really knowing what you were doing, and...
Are you trying to make me say I killed him?
Not at all. I told you I'm prepared to take the blame if it comes to it.
But you said you knew how it happened.
Listen, I don't think you did it deliberately. I don't think it was premeditated. I know it wasn't. I know quite well that you only shot him because...
I shot him? Are you really pretending to believe that I shot him?
For God's sake, let's be honest with each other.
I didn't shoot him and you know it.
Then who did, Lilac? Are you trying to say that I shot him?
I heard the shot and your footsteps on the path going away. I came down there, he was dead.
I didn't shoot him. I came over here to see him, to tell him after the election we'd got to come to some arrangement about a divorce. I heard a shot just before I got here. Just thought it was Richard up to his tricks as usual. I came in here and there he was, dead, warm. He hadn't been dead more than a minute or two. Of course I believed you'd shot him. Who else could have shot him?
I don't understand.
It could have been suicide.
No, because...
Lilac, now Richard's dead. His pistols and guns belong to me, don't they? I mean, I'm his brother. I'm the next man in the family. Jenny won't let me have them. She's locked them up in the cupboard in there. But they're mine. I have a right to them. Make her give me the key.
Now listen, John, darling.
She treats me like a child. Jenny, I mean. Everyone treats me like a child, but I'm not a child. I'm a man, 19, nearly of age. Richard's sporting things belong to me. I'm going to do what Richard did. I'm going to shoot squirrels and birds and cats. I might shoot people if I don't like them.
You must not get excited, John.
I'm not excited, but I'm not going to be victimized. I'm master here now. I'm the master of this house. Everyone's got to do as I say. I could be a justice of the peace, couldn't I, Rocco?
You're a little young for that yet.
You all treat me like a child, but you can't do it any longer. Not now that Richard's dead. I expect I'm rich too, aren't I? This house belongs to me. Nobody can push me around any longer. I can push them around. I'm not going to be dictated by silly old Jenny. If Jenny tries ordering me about, I know what I shall do.
Listen, John, darling, it's a very worrying time for all of us, and Richard's things don't belong to anybody until the lawyers have come and read his will and granted what they call probate. That's what happens when anyone is dead. Until then, we all have to wait and see. Do you understand?
I understand what you tell me, Lilac. I love you, Lilac. I love you very much.
Yes, dear, I love you.
You're glad Richard's dead, aren't you?
No, I'm not glad.
Oh, yes, you are. Now you can marry Rocco. You've wanted to marry Rocco for a long time, haven't you? I know. They think I don't notice or know things, but I do. And so, it's all right for you both now. It's been made all right for you, and you're pleased.
John! John!
Silly old Jenny.
Now, do be nice to Jenny. She's having such a lot of trouble and worry over this. You must help her, John. You're the man of the family now.
All right. I will. Jenny!
I had no idea he knew about us.
That's the trouble with people like John. You never know how much or how little they do know. He gets rather easily out of hand, doesn't he?
He gets easily excited, yes, but now that Richard isn't here to tease him, he'll calm down. He'll get to be more normal. I'm sure he will.
Well, I don't know about that.
Hello. Good evening.
Oh, good evening.
How's everything? Right and cheerful? Hey, two's company and three's none. Couldn't have come in by the window this way. A gentleman would have gone to the front door and rung the bell. Is that it? But then you see, I'm not a gentleman.
Oh, please.
Matter of fact, I've come for two reasons. First, goodbye. My character's been cleared. High-level cables from Tokyo saying what a fine, upright fellow I am. So I'm free to depart.
I'm sorry you're going so soon.
That's nice of you, considering the way I butted in on your family murder. But I came in by the window for another reason. The police brought me up in their car, and although they're being very tight-lipped about it, it's my belief there's something up.
They've come back? But I thought they'd finished this morning.
Why I say something's up.
Rocco!